more concerned with promoting business interests than those of normal Hong Kong folks, then that's why you hear angry voices in Hong Kong. Now, I talked to a very interesting person today down at Occupy Central, and it was a banker, and he was on his lunch break, and I mistook him for a student because, of course, he looked very young. And I said, why are you down here? And I said, and I talked about, some of the issues we're discussing. And he said the relationship between democracy and, well-being of the people is complicated. And I can tell you from the United States, it's absolutely true. I mean, the United States is a democracy that, in some respects, has been captured by, the most powerful elements of society. So we have a lot of inequality like Hong Kong, and a lot of socioeconomic disparities. But nonetheless, you have many other countries that are able, and Hong Kong is really fortunate. It has a lot of resources at its disposal. You'll hear that there aren't resources at disposal, but thoughtful people, whether they are on the political left or the political right, know that the Hong Kong government has a lot of resources that could be brought to play. And so what I'm saying might sound sort of somewhat removed from this discussion of political rights, but what I'm suggesting is that effective social movements, ones that are sustained over a longer period of time, are able to link questions of political rights with substantive issues that concern people's well-being, right? And so that hasn't happened to the extent that perhaps one might like to see in Hong Kong. Now, I have a lot of faith in Hong Kong people's ability to work out their own issues, and for some reason they're simply not coming together to work those issues out. There is, of course, that we are in China, right? But according to the basic law and according to basic principles of openness and fairness, people should be able to come together. I heard one person remark that a great deal of effort was put forward to do the public consultation, but ultimately the decision from Beijing was much, harsher than even that put forward by local folks who were against, for example, public nomination. And so, just as an observer, when I see this situation and people are always saying, Beijing will never change their mind and so on, to me that's sort of not the point. The point is, what do you think? And here I have in mind, the local government. What's your vision for Hong Kong? What sort of, political leader that are truly interested in the welfare of their people, have the, would just simply say, well, we forget it, we have no control. This is extremely sensitive. What I'm saying, but at the end of the day, if local leaders don't have their own vision about what Hong Kong is and what it should be about, and simply rule out the possibility that Hong Kong people can collectively, agree in a democratic manner how their society should be ruled, then why are they? I mean, it's mystifying in many regards. And so, I think one of the things that needs to happen, I suppose, is that some folks who are in positions of authority should really be urged and welcomed to express their own vision of what sort of Hong Kong they want to live in. Now you could dismiss this as sort of pie in the sky. You're dreaming, professor. You've been reading too many books, which is almost most certainly true. And but on the other hand, everybody, we are now in a situation in which, you know, the local authorities have backed themselves into a corner. Beijing has backed itself into a corner. And, you know, you guys, i.e., you know, the social movement that's trying to advocate for a more democratic Hong Kong, you're in a difficult spot too. And so, you know, perhaps something that needs to be thought about more are, you know, the politics of compromise. And, you know, compromise seems impossible right now, right? But at the end of the day, some new equilibrium will need to be found. And so the point now is not to say, okay, give up on your goals, okay, because that's not what a social movement is about. But you have to, on the one hand, you know, have a compelling message, and that is attractive, you know, to people. And you need to also break barriers and, you know, invite people from the other side, whatever that other side might be, to say, okay, you know, what are the solutions? You know, what types of possibilities are there to, you know, to overcome this? Everybody wants a stable, prosperous social order. Many people would like to have a democratic social order. You're in a situation in which you're being told it's impossible. You cannot have a fully democratic social order. Actually, the word fully democratic is useless, because anything short of truly democratic social order is by definition not democratic. And so, you know, your challenge is to find out how you can achieve how can you achieve a minimally acceptable, that sounds bad, but I'll explain this again, minimally acceptable democratic social order. Or in other words, what are your basic, your essential values and demands that you will never sacrifice, you know, or that you are fully committed to, right? And then you work backwards and you say, okay, well, how do we achieve those? And you know, no one has illusions. These things don't happen overnight, particularly when you have, you know, a military superpower that, you know, right, involved. So Hong Kong people don't want to make trouble. At least that's my experience teaching here for almost 7 years. They simply would like to live in a society in which their voices are heard, and perhaps somewhat controversially, but I think it is true that the majority of Hong Kong people have indicated clearly that they would like to have a deciding voice in the selection of those people who rule, who govern Hong Kong. And so, you know, here we are. There's no obvious solutions, right, to the issue. But yet, you know, you get the sense that you need to think and act, right? And that's the challenge.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.